Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a weekly show where brands discuss other brands' ads.
Kids do want to buy their mom something for Mother's Day, but they obviously don't really have the money to do it. So how can DoorDash play a role in a space probably that they may not have had a role to play before?
It was quite hard to follow what was being asked of them. And one friend did say she would rather just give her child £5 to go and buy her a bouquet of flowers.
So we are going to see an exciting ad today by DoorDash. But before we see that ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura McNally, and I co-lead consumer marketing at Autotrade.
Hi, I'm Conor Byrne, and I'm host of the podcast That's What I Call Marketing.
Right. So we've got an odd one, an interesting one for you, but let's see it.
Mums, your kids want to buy you good gifts, but your kids can't buy you good gifts because nobody accepts payment in chocolate coins or marbles, but we do. This Mother's Day, DoorDash is accepting Kid Currency at the first ever digital Mother's Day flower auction by DoorDash. Share your photo or video on social from now until May 13th, like toy bits, rocks, or this. Bidding starts now.
I want you to give it a mark out of 5. 1, 2, 3. A 2 and a 2. Right. Laura, that's quite a short promotional video, but what is actually going on in this campaign?
So my take on it was that it's to promote DoorDash delivery services, so online grocery and food delivery, but they've kind of piggybacked on a moment in time, which is Mother's Day, to encourage people to take photos of their children with their currency in their hand. So that could be something creative, it could be Lego, it could be toys. Presumably the mother then takes the photo of that object, uploads it with the correct hashtag, which were Kid Currency, and then 400 people would then win a $75 gift card towards flowers. The premise being that mothers usually end up having to buy their own Mother's Day flowers. So this was a way of trying to, I guess, get the children's participation in the gifting process.
Conor, what was your take on this?
So that idea, to me, like there is an insight there, which is, kids do want to buy their mom something for Mother's Day, but they obviously don't really have the money to do it. So how can DoorDash play a role in a space probably that they may not have had a role to play before? So I thought it was a very interesting and human truth, right? Which is a good place to start. I think the insight is true and it's there and it's coming through in the work around the idea of kids currency. I think the mechanic is maybe a little bit complex and difficult to execute, probably given some of the restrictions they were up against. What's happening is I think there's a really nice idea, and then you have to go to legal, and legal are saying, actually, we can't get the kids to post the pictures because, so I think they had to work within some constraints to then figure out the mechanic.
I don't have children, so I can't relate in that regard. But I did ask a lot of my friends that were parents yesterday what they thought of it. And I think they similarly believed that it was quite hard to follow what was being asked of them. And one friend did say she would rather just give her child £5 to go and buy her a bouquet of flowers. I think it's probably a given and it's widely accepted that that's, if they are to receive gifts on those days, that the means to do that is to have to give them pocket money or money to be able to do that. But like you say, or the other, someone else helps another family member to encourage them to do a card or something that they can create without currency or money. I do like the trading aspect to it. There's something inherently social about that. I suppose what happens is the same if we come up with a user-generated content idea. You get really excited in-house and you think everyone's going to rush out and it's going to go viral. And then actually the barriers to entry are way higher, even when it is as simple as taking a photograph of your child with their creation in their hands.
Like, what was the objective? Like, were they trying to build an association between DoorDash and flower delivery? Like, so I don't know, for example, was it just known as a food delivery and they needed people to think of it for different occasions and, kind of expanding their category? So yeah, without knowing that, you don't know. What was the objective? What was success? I'm guessing it wasn't number of entry. In my view, I don't think it would be number of entries because that, we're definitely getting into convoluted territory there in terms of the mechanic. So yeah, you'd love to know that and kind of go, well, what was the objective? And then even I think the point about the legal piece is kind of interesting, not throwing legal people under the bus, but perhaps what happened there was, really nice idea, was created in a vacuum. And then somebody decided, well, we should ask legal what we do here. And at that point, it's far too late versus when we have that initial idea, actually sitting with someone in legal in the room early and kind of going, here's something we're thinking about doing. We haven't briefed it out yet. Like, what do you think? And sometimes that can actually, you bring the constraint in early, like that wonderful book, Beautiful Constraint. And then you start thinking differently. And that might have led them to a different output in the end. Again, don't know.
What have you learned for this? What will you take back to your teams?
We keep knocking around this idea of user-generated content, because I think when it comes to cars, it feels like lots of people are very passionate about their cars. But I do think we have a tendency to kind of navel gaze and assume that everyone's going to be as passionate as we are. And perhaps that's slightly what's happened here too. There's a danger of kind of drinking your own Kool-Aid a bit, and you're very excited about your product and your services and expect that other people will be too. So I think it will probably make us reconsider the approach that we take there and how high the barrier to entry might be. Obviously, the lower the better. I like that paying it forward, the social element to it, that kind of active participation. And if it does work, then when you've made a conscious effort to engage with a brand in that way, I think your memory of it will be run much deeper than if you didn't. So I'm a big fan of the sentiment, I guess, around it. So we'd probably look to see how we could maybe adopt that, but modify it so that it's clearly understood. I guess one thing you could say as well is that it's, and another thing that we'd need to be cautious of is that you want it to be as inclusive as possible. So you could say that those, and same with Mother's Day, Father's Day, like there's lots of people that find those days difficult. So could they have done something that, didn't restrict them in that way, but then also showed their values as a brand? Like,
it's true. Like, kids want to do something for their mother or their father or their, on that given day. And so I think that's really nice, and being able to kind of find a way for them to communicate it. The linkage is probably where it struggles a bit, and the mechanic of actually entering and all that. I'd love to be a fly on the wall on the review and going, okay, what would we do differently if we're to do this again? Because it might just be that, or we're DoorDash, we do door drops in, all these different houses in these areas, as promotional leaflets. I'm sure they do that. Like, why don't we include a card making kit the next time? Like, it could be that, and that's how they extend the idea. But but that's trademarked IP on that idea. If anyone from DoorDash is listening, 50-50, Tom.
Would you sign off this campaign off in its current form? Yes or no? 1, 2, 3. 2 thumbs down. DoorDash, there you have it. Conor, Laura, thank you so much for your time.